بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we will continue with our discussion of chapter 10, groups and teams. Based on what we discussed in the last lecture, you are now able to differentiate between different types of groups, formal groups versus informal groups. And under formal groups, we took different types of groups as well, command groups and task groups, and informal groups included interest groups and friendship groups. We also considered teams to be a type of formal groups, and also you should be able to distinguish between a group from a team using a number of different criteria. You also should be able to describe the stages of group development and to identify some important characteristics of groups which you deal with or you are part of, such as the group composition, member roles, the different roles played by the group members, group norms, group leadership. In this lecture, our learning objectives include the following. You need to be able, or you should be able by the end of this lecture, to know what is the meaning of group cohesiveness and to describe the level of group cohesiveness and why certain groups are cohesive. Also, you will be able to identify a situation which is considered a negative result of high cohesiveness, which is groupthink. Of course, not all cohesive groups should suffer from groupthink, but you will be able to understand the meaning of groupthink and what causes groupthink. Also, we will discuss a number of different types of teams, such as research and development teams, problem-solving teams, virtual teams. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to understand the difference between these teams. Finally, the chapter closes by identifying the factors that can help build effective groups and teams. These factors can be used to improve the effectiveness of groups and make them more successful. Here we remind you with the different group characteristics that we are interested in understanding. We already discussed group composition and different member roles, group norms, and group leadership. Now we will start explaining and studying an important characteristic through which we describe a group, which is the group cohesiveness. خاصية مهمة لجماعات العمل هي درجة تماسك جماعة العمل. فهنا احنا هنشرح ايه معناه و what makes groups cohesive, and then we will go to a problem related to group cohesiveness, which is group think. Group cohesiveness is another important characteristic of groups. We mean by cohesiveness the closeness or commonness of attitude, behavior, and performance of the members. To what extent the members of the group are close to each other, have commonness, similarities of attitudes, they have the same attitudes and the same performance and behavior. Cohesiveness acts on the members to remain in a group. When there is high cohesiveness، لما يكون مجموعة العمل متماسكة، التماسك ده بيشتغل كقوة علشان تخليهم يفضلوا موجودين جزء من الجروب. Also, cohesiveness is greater than the forces pulling the members away from the group. So it's like قوة like a glue، كأنها صمغ بيمسكهم في بعض، وكل ما تكون أعلى كل ما يكون ال pulling power to remain in the group أعلى من ال power to move out of the group. As the cohesiveness of a work group increases, conformity to group norms also increases. So the more the group is cohesive, the more they comply and conform to the group norms. يعني بيخضعوا وبيلازم يتبعوا النورمز والأعراف السائدة في الجروب. كل ما كان الجروب متماسك كل ما كان أعضاؤه بيخضعوا للأعراف اللي سائدة داخل هذا الجروب. These norms may be consistent with those of the organization and they may not be consistent. This is the point. Not always the norms are consistent with the organization norms. Not always. Sometimes the norms of the group might be different from the norms of the organization, and in this case if the group is cohesive we might face a problem. يعني هنا في الحالة دي ممكن يكون التماسك حوالين norms، حوالين أعراف ما بتشتغلش في مصلحة المنظمة، وفي الحالة دي ممكن يبقى cohesiveness is not really good. What are the sources of attraction to a group? What are the things that attracts members to a group and keep them in that group? The first source is that the goals of the group and the members are compatible. So here we talk about compatibility of goals of both the group and the members. فلو أنا أهدافي هي نفس أهداف المجموعة ده ممكن يخليني منجذب لهذه المجموعة. تاني حاجة if the group has a charismatic leader so he attracts people. These people are influential and people admire them and therefore get attracted to be part of his group. Another reason for attraction is the group itself has a reputation for success. Everybody wants to work with a successful group. لو الجروب عنده سمعة ان هو جروب ناجح وبينجز المهام اللي بتسند اليه، فالناس تحب انها تنضم للفريق الناجح ده او المجموعة الناجحة دي. If the group is small enough to permit members to have their opinion heard، ده ممكن يجذب الناس اللي هي محتاجة to have the ability to express themselves and have a voice in the organization. فالمجموعة ممكن تبقى صغيرة بدرجة تسمح ان انا اقدر اعبر عن نفسي واظهر واقول رأيي، فدي برضو ممكن تبقى another attraction source. The last attraction source ان يكون معروف عن هذا الجروب ان members support and help one another، يكون معروف عنه ان الناس اللي شغالة فيه بتساعد بعض وبتقف جنب بعضها، فده برضو من ضمن الحاجات اللي attract us to join a certain group. Groupthink is a drawback or a negative side of strong cohesiveness. التماسك القوي لمجموعة العمل ممكن يترتب عليها ظهور فينومينا اسمها فكر الجماعة اللي هو الجروب ثينك. What is groupthink? Groupthink is the deterioration of mental efficiency, reality testing, and moral judgment of the individual members of a group in the interest of group solidarity. Now this group, the members do not use their mental abilities properly. They don't use their mental abilities efficiently to examine facts, analyze them, test reality, and make sure that their decisions, their assumptions are realistic and are true. In this case, the judgment they take, the level of morality of their judgment is deteriorating. يعني مدى أخلاقية الأحكام بتاعتهم وموضوعيتها بتبتدي تتدهور. وكل ده في مصلحة إيه؟ في سبب إيه؟ in the interest of group solidarity, to preserve and keep the group solidarity. فكأنك بتحافظ على تماسك المجموعة حتى لو كان ده على حساب الموضوعية والأخلاق والنزاهة. هنا بيبقى هدف الحفاظ على تماسك الجروب أعلى من هدف الوصول ل decisions جيدة أو to reach efficient and effective decisions in the best interest of the organization. Now as if إن بيبقى الهدف الأعلى هو الجروب solidarity. Characteristics of groups suffering from groupthink. They have illusion of invulnerability. They believe that they have immunity against, they are immune. They really cannot be defeated. They feel very strong. But this is illusion. Illusion بمعنى ده وهم. It's not true. Tendency to moralize. They have the tendency to advise others and give them moral lectures rather than looking at themselves and what they do. Thirdly, they feel unanimity. They feel as a unit. They feel all of them like a unit. إحساس بالوحدة والتماسك الشديد. They put pressure on each other to conform. They بيضغطوا على بعض علشان يخضعوا للأعراف بتاعت الجروب. فلو في حد عنده رأي مختلف they pressure him. And ونتيجة لذلك opposing ideas are dismissed. If any فكرة معارضة للجروب agree upon is dismissed بيتم استبعاد. We move now to discussion of teams. Let me remind you with the definition of teams that we took in the last lecture. Teams are a type of groups, but these groups are mature, with member interdependence, motivation, and a shared commitment to achieve a common goal. Therefore, what makes groups the most significant difference between teams and groups is that the members of the team, when they work together, their actions are interdependent. They depend on each other. Their activities go through interaction. And the performance of one of them is highly affected by the performance of others, and vice versa. He also affects and is affected by. Also, teams are more motivated and they share higher commitment to the common goal. يبقى مدامت فرق العمل فيها characteristics زي motivation أعلى، دافعية أكتر، التزام أكتر ناحية common goal, then it is expected that teams would provide the organization with more performance gains, higher performance levels. So what are the perceived gains from using teams? Research have shown that teams can perform better in terms of من ناحية يعني economic improvements. They can generate more profits, and also their performance result in higher quality and higher productivity. They can provide us with products and services that meets the customer's expectations. They are more productive. They can use less input to provide more output. Also, teams benefits the organization in terms of flattening the organization structure. A flat structure versus a tall structure is that in the case of the flat structure, we have less organization levels. And this can help improve the communication. It can also reduce the cost of the salaries. All of this result in gains to the organization. So these are the positive sides of having teams rather than groups. We move now to discuss different types of teams. However, we will realize something, that there is no standard classification for the description of teams. Unlike when we discussed the groups, we said formal versus informal, for example. But here we don't have such a clear system for classifying teams. Actually, we distinguish between teams according to a number of factors, such as the size, small teams, large teams, the composition, التركيبة نفسها بتاعت التيم، مثلا ممكن نقول cross functional team, organizational level, top management teams, operation teams, duration, short term, long term, temporary, objectives. Maybe we have teams for solving a crisis, a certain problem facing the company, potential contribution to the organization performance. All of these are factors that teams can be described across. Types of teams. The first type is problem-solving teams. It is formed to deal with problems. لأن هي فرق حل المشاكل، فهي بتتعامل عشان تتعامل مع المشكلات. المشكلات دي can span few days to a year or longer, so it might be short term or intermediate term or long term. It depends on the type of problem we talk about. Example of problem solving teams is quality circle. يبقى quality circle is an example of problem solving team. طب what is the kind of problem the quality circle deals with? They deal with problems related to quality, product quality or process improvement، تحسين عمليات الإنتاج أو تحسين مشاكل خاصة بجودة المنتج. The second team is cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams consist of members coming from different functional departments. So you'll have a team consisting of marketing specialist, accounting specialist, finance specialist, human resources specialist. People coming from different departments come together to form a team. Why we form them? We form them to deal with a specific problem that needs their combined expertise. مشكلة محتاجة الخبرة المجمعة بتاعت الناس دي اللي جاية من أكتر من إدارة وظيفية. It takes time to build cohesion and efficiency. طبعا because they come from different background, it's not easy for them to come and just check in together and work effectively immediately. فبتاخد وقت. These are the cross-functional teams. Virtual teams, another type of teams which are formed and connected through technology, through information technology rather than through face-to-face meetings. Here, these people who do not meet face-to-face communicate, exchange ideas, material, documents, work on problems from geographically separated areas. Managers must be linked to these team members and be willing to allow a great deal of autonomy and decision making independence to members. For these teams to succeed, the managers must be willing to allow them to work independently and give them the needed power and resources needed to allow them to succeed in doing their roles. مثال كويس جدا على الفيرتشوال تيمز، الفرق العمل اللي حاليا بتشتغل في ظل الكورونا. ناس بتستعمل meeting software such as Zoom مثلا for example علشان يحلوا مشاكلهم ويشتغلوا على خدمة العملاء بتوعهم whatever كانت التاسكس اللي بيقوموا بيها. Research and development teams. These teams are formed especially to work on developing new products and services. فرق البحوث والتطوير بتشتغل على المنتجات الجديدة. Usually the team consists of members coming from different functional departments. For example, people coming from engineering, marketing, finance, in order to work together to finalize the proposal of the product and testing it so that it can reach the market faster than if each member work in his department separately. فلما نجمع الناس دي من departments مختلفة عشان يشتغلوا على تطوير المنتج من أول فكرة لحد إنتاج لحد تمويل لحد تسويق، هنا ده بيساعد على reducing تقليل الوقت required to reach market. The last type of teams is self-managed teams. These teams consist of small number of members. These members are empowered. They are giving the power to make decisions and to perform activities unsupervised based on the procedures and decisions made within the team. So their activities is directed by their decisions with minimum outside direction. يبقى التيمز دي بتعتمد على أقل درجة من التدخل الخارجي and they work according to the rules they put for themselves. There is a number of factors that must be taken into consideration in order to form effective teams as a type of groups, of course. These factors are training, empowerment, communication, and rewards. Effective teams require training. Members would need training in skills related to their tasks and to improve their abilities to do the tasks. This is training to improve their task-related skills. Also, members need training to prepare them to work as a team member, training in problem solving, and training to think outside the box, think creatively, to think in a creative way, and finally, training to improve interpersonal skills such as the ability to listen well to others, the ability to express yourself clearly to others, to persuade. All of these skills are needed to work successfully in a group. The third area that need to be enhanced in order to improve team effectiveness is communication. Teams need information that were previously available to managers only. Now managers have to communicate what they know to teams to allow them to work successfully. The problem is that managers sometimes are afraid to lose their power if they give the team the information they have. Many teams fail because management is unwilling to share information with the team that it created. so the management do not want to share the information, and this lack of communication between the management and the team would prevent and reduce team effectiveness. Empowerment of the team is essential to improve its effectiveness. Generally, teams that lack authority are less effective than teams that have authority. فالفريق اللي ما عنده سلطة أكتر بيكون فعال أكتر. Not giving teams authority means that management don't trust the team, and the lack of trust is the main reason for team empowerment problems. However, if teams are given too much authority, more authority than needed, this also can be problematic. This can be dangerous, especially in the early stages of the team development, especially if the team members are not trained on using authority effectively, and they may abuse authority or use it in improper way. Rewards is the fourth and last factor that can help us build effective teams. Most reward systems are individual based. What do you mean by individual based? This means that the reward system is designed to compensate members based on their individual performance. It does not put into consideration a very important factor, which is the group performance, the overall group performance, the overall group success. Imagine with me here a football team. If we use an individual based system, this means that we will compensate different players based on their individual performance in the game. Therefore, those who score the goals will be compensated higher than others. Maybe this would not be very useful to the overall team, because they might compete against each other. Here we need to add a type of compensation that everyone gets when the team wins the game. This will encourage the members to support each other and to play and collaborate, and to maybe give each other the opportunity to score, because they know that when someone scores a goal, everyone will be rewarded. يبقى النظام بتاع المكافأة اللي بيكافئ الفريق، بيبقى فيه مكافأة لما الفريق ككل ينجح، ده بيسمح أو بيدعم إن احنا نشتغل كتيم. طبعا there are many reward systems. For example, incentive based systems, which are the systems that give the workers incentives in case they reach a certain end or a certain target, maybe like a commission, for example. This is one example of reward system. This might be useful to problem solving teams. However, when we talk about self-managed teams, autonomous teams والself-managed teams, التيمز اللي هي مدارة ذاتيا، ربما ان scheme زي plan such as profit sharing would be more motivating to them، ان هم يبقى لهم نسبة في الربح اللي بتحققه الorganization، او مشاركة في الارباح اللي بتحققها الorganization. That's all for this lecture. Thank you very much.